Hello and welcome to Animals Labs. We're looking today at the patch notes as we like to, completely off script. We're going to look see what we've got here. So it's done by Oracle again. I think he's actually new to the team. Few of whom will be limited to the Doom Tower, new Doom Tower champions. So we have Taya, Shadowkin Void, Daze Powder, attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing decreased accuracy on them, and it will, of his books, it will go to 60%. That's 1, 2, 3, 15 books. It's quite a lot of books. Venom Kunai, so he's throwing something. Attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has 100% when booked. Chance of placing a poison debuff for 2 turns. So he could place 3. He could place 3 poisons with this. Okay. Blood Boil. Attacks one enemy, has a 100% chance of activating any poison and HP debuffs on the target. Also has a 100% chance of placing heal reduction. Increases all allies. So he might, or he, she, it, maybe, who knows, might actually be a poison explosion champion, which could be good. You know, like a Xavier equivalent. Whether or not you can get the AI to target the boss with this attack is, you know, could be different for spiders. Gwyneth Dark Elves. A nice picture. 1, 2, 3, 4. 17 books. That's a lot of books. She best be good. Infiltrator attacks all enemies. This attack will not trigger counter attack. Wow. Whoa, interesting. That's That's a new mechanic we've not seen before. Which, you know, imagine. I wish I had this for Dark Elves faction wars. You know, especially all those counter attacks. Put a stun set on her. She can stun all day long. Basic. Well, we'll go for the Ascended. Attacks one enemy before attacking, has an 80, books to 100% chance of placing Weaken. Heals this champion by 30%, and then heals all allies with surplus heals. Interesting. I was not expecting that from a attack champion. Flow of Malice. Attacks, transfers all debuffs on this champion to one target enemy, then attacks the enemy. She's interesting. Like, this infiltrator is her best skill, which is concerning as it's an A1. And she has some nice, she has Weaken, she has ability to get around, you know, effects, and she has a term. It depends if she's good against one of the new bosses. Right now, she's not all that. More prefer Tyre. And we've got Dark Kale, Magic, Affinity, Attack, Dark Elves. We didn't need 2 Dark Elves, guys. Been like, Fear is, no. One of the others is Dark Elf as well, and it's like all Dark Elves. Weaver of Woes attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 35% chance of activating 2 poisons, or 1 poison and 1 HP debuff. Just like a baby pop. Blinding Darkness attacks all enemies, has a 100% chance of placing decreased attack, which is nice. As a critical hit, also has a 100% chance of increasing the duration of all debuffs on the target. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. Then Acid Reality has a 75% chance, which books to 100, placing 3 poisons and a poison sensitivity debuff for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. The passive, decrease the crit rate of enemies under poison debuffs by 15%. If there was he could be, he has some use in Clan Boss, especially like the 15% poison actually drops the Clan Boss's crit rate to 0, which could be interesting. I don't know. I'm not impressed. he looks like he could be good for clan boss. And if there's there's a, you can put him against the magma dragon, I guess, but he's the wrong affinity. So it's this cooldowns here. If this was like a 3-turn cooldown, or did the increase the duration by 2 turns, that would be fine. And then this is a 3-turn with I just don't really know what he's trying to do. It seems to be like play with poisons, which is nice, and the decrease attack means he has some use, but he is not focused anywhere. He doesn't do anything. Like, in fact, so is she, so is he. Then none of them are really focused. Varl the Destroyer, Spirit Affinity attack, faction leaf, orcs, and then he has Ravaging Leech. Attacks enemy, inflicts, heals the champion 30%. Okay, so he's got like lifesteal set built in on his A1. Lay waste attacks all enemies, has 100% chance of weaken and 100% decrease attack. Also, yeah, so if you get weakened, they get decrease attack as well. This weaken and decrease attack is just frustrating because you want weaken and decrease defense, and then he has a use. Attacks one enemy, will ignore 30% of the target's defense, will decreases the target's max HP by 50% of the damage inflicted. Places block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn if this attack kills the enemy. Okay. Mass murder increases this champion's attack by each time they use an active skill. Stacks up to. He's gonna be quite good versus the Scarab boss. So remember that round is like one wave, second wave is around, third boss is around. You might be good against certain bosses where you want that decrease attack. He's probably going to do an absolute ton load of damage to the clan boss, where these buffs are not a problem. He's okay. 13 books again, getting into large numbers territory. Vassal of the Seal. Demon Spawn HP Force, legendary, fair enough. Abyssal Seal. Attacks one enemy, places HP burn on the target if they're under 3 feet or decrease attack, okay. And then places a shield on this champion. Attacks all enemies, has a 100% chance of placing fear, tree fear, and decrease attack for 2 turns, which means this will go off. Balances the HP of all allies. The HP of all allies will be brought up to the level of the ally with the highest HP. After balancing HP, grants an extra turn on a 4-turn cooldown. I like this as well. What is this? Receives 20% less damage from champions from Bannerlord's High Elf and Sacred Order factions. There are 2 or more demon spawn champions on the team alongside this champion. Increases the crit damage of all demons by 20%. Fair enough. And increases allies' HP by 30%. Trying to work out if there's any demons that do fear. True fear. If there was a demon that does true fear and a decreased attack, that might be alright. I like this for Clanmore, the demonic possession. He places a shield on himself. It's interesting. Not sure where they want him to go, but I can see him being interesting. It's going to depend what his multipliers are on Infernal Darkness, if he's any good in Arena. Basatha. It's Elizabeth. Look at that face. Wow, that's someone else. Elizabeth. B. Death roll. Attacks one enemy. That's a decrease attack session. 60%. I think they're stuck on their decrease attack and decrease accuracy today. Nice. God Beast's Boon. Places 25% strengthen and a 15% continuous heal on ally for 2 turns. Also places a shield buff on 2 turns, equal to this champion, or if they're under any effect. This is nice. So far, this is nice. Attacks all enemies has a 75% chance of placing a stun for 1 turn and decreasing the enemy's turn rate by 30%. So that's a 100% chance of stun. Whenever an enemy is revived, it has a 75 books to 100 chance of placing a stun, and it cannot be resisted. Increases his HP 31%. Like in almost all other cases, it's 33. This is just a weird number. Ace books galore again. He's strong. I like this guy. Stun, debuff. Like continue support. He's a support, right? I know he says he's HP, but stun out, stun everyone, stun if they revived, shield all you guys potentially if they got stunned or slept or whatever. But heals on them, decrease attack. Yes, I like him. New champions. So these are just general ones that are available to us. Void Skinwalker, attack champion. Skinwalkers need all the champions they can get. Lion's Twin Claws. 1 enemy 2 times. Each chance is placing 60% chance of placing decreased defense. Amateur. He looks, that's nice. Rage of the Pride attacks all enemies 2 times. This champion is immune to stun, fear, freeze, provoke. Okay, so when this is not on cooldown. So I guess he uses this first, then he'll have a first and second turn in the arena. Okay. This is nice. Attacking all enemy 2 times. Attacks all enemies, has a 100% chance of placing True Fear. Before attacking, ordered. Why did not put before attacking? 100% chance of placing Weaken on the enemy for 2 turns. This is nice. This guy's good. But you'd expect that from a Void Legendary. Activate effect. Instantly places an unkillable on this champion before he dies. So he's going to be unkillable at least once. I can see him being a pain in the ass in arena because he can attack all enemies 2 times in arena and he's going to be unkillable. This is like Skullcrown, and he gives crit rate. Now we've seen Mother Sabelle previously. So yeah, I don't like her. I've done a review of her in a previous video. You're welcome to watch that. She's a fusion, one that you have to collect the pieces for. Disappointed with her, to be honest. However, as a fragment fusion, she brings some epics and rares with her. So let's find out if any of these are any good and any are worth going for. Mangana. Spirit Demon Spawn, Superheated Hammer. So we're going to go up to that nice odd number of 55, 65. Okay. Attacks on enemy, places decreased defense. Big one, good job on an A1. It has 100% chance. So he always places decrease if they're under HP ban. That's interesting. Attacks on enemies, places an extra hit on enemies without HP ban. Has a 50% chance of placing a stun debuff on enemies under HP ban. A 3-turn cooldown. I guess if they're not HP ban, he hits them twice. It's like Trunder, but reverse. Reverse Trunder. Okay. That's nice. Fan the Flames. We see who's doomed out. Yeah, attacks one enemy, applies a debuff spread effect, taking 2 random debuffs from the target, placing them on all enemies under HP burn effects. Also increases the duration of HP burn by 1 turn. Will not spread anything that you get, the stuff that you want to spread. So fear, true fear, hard CC. Flesh Melter. The champion heals by 1% of their max HP every time someone in the battle takes damage from H. It's like attack, but only 1%, so nothing. Increases defense in team tower. He's all right. He's a little bit weird, as in he just does weird things. Like, you know, if I maybe if this read attack an extra hit on enemies with HP burn, it would work well with this and then with this. But it kind of feels like this is not supposed to be on this champion, or they don't want him doing a lot of damage, so it's weird. I like the champion though. She does not look like a dwarf. Unless she's got like super massive thighs or something, big arms. Cornelia. Magic Affinity Dwarves. Support, they've got a lot of magic champions. Attacks one enemy, has a 40% chance of increasing the cooldown on one of the skills by 2 turns at random. 50%. That's quite strong against bosses. The Peak of the Deep. Ascended has an 80% chance of placing a sleep debuff on allies and all enemies for 1 turn. Looks to 100. Whenever an enemy loses a sleep debuff placed by this skill, 50% chance, books to 75. No, 70. Placing it with a fear debuff instead. So they could be feared. Definitely slept. Interesting. Places a sleep debuff on an ally for 1 turn. Heals the ally by 50% of their max HP. And fills the turn meter by 50% whenever the sleep debuff expires or gets removed. Heals that ally by 100% and completely fills the turn meter if the sleep debuff is lost due to taking damage from the enemy. That's better than I thought it was when I started reading it. I was like, oh, that's bad. But I guess if she goes last in your turn, puts a sleep on them, then the enemy goes. And they all get their turn meter back. If they're faster than them, they'll reset. Than the boss. Maybe they get 2 turns. Worth testing. She's interesting. This is strong. If this works on bosses, you know, like the dragon from the last on him, just be like, no, don't play. Magma Dragon, the Eternal Dragon. Jorojin, so it's like baby Jintaro. Shadowkin, Spirit. Monk's Spade, attacks one enemy. Decrease attack there again. 50% chance of placing decreased attack. Interesting. 60% chance. Place the shield buff on this champion for 2 turns, equal to 25% of this. Oh, and then attacks one enemy placing provoke for 1 turn. Basis, so it's 100%. Target max HP is equal to or lower than this champion. Okay, so if he's got high HP, he just provokes that champion and it can't be resisted. That's quite strong. Attacks on enemy will ignore 25 with the defense and will ignore HP and unkillable. This is like a Mountain King so far. So that's always good. HP. Receive 25% less damage from attacks when this champion's HP drops to 50% or lower. So this is, I like this. He's like baby Mountain King in Epic. And using all the same places. Tolf the Maimed. How many epics are there? There's loads of them. Void Epic HP Orcs. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit inflicts the champion by 30% of the damage inflicted. Who's got, it can't be critical. Yeah, you're rubbish so far. Attacks one enemy when not attacking bosses, inflicts pure damage and increases the target's HP. Decreases the target's HP to 50%. I was like, what? Inflicts damage based on the champion's max HP instead and places a stun debuff if the target is already less than HP. So he basically sets someone to half health. Inflicts damage on this champion based on his max HP. Cannot be critical. Yeah, I'm almost not tempted to read it, but increases the values of all enemy shield debuffs by 50% at the start of every turn, then increases this champion's HP by the same amount. Tolf, the Maimed, the Vault Guardian. Just it can't be critical, so it's not going to do anything. That what? Yeah, fine, whatever. Enjoy the Vault. Eurogrim attacks one enemy 3 times, ascended 3 times, and has a 25, 45% chance of placing a poison debuff 3 turns. Tasty. Yes, we like it. Removes all debuffs from an ally, then heals them by 40% of their max HP. 1, 2, on a 3 turn cooldown. Ooh, I see you. It places 3 5% poison debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns, then also places 2 15% continuous heals on all allies for 5 turns. Feeding. Or this guy is good. He's really good in clan boss. This is on the right cooldown to run him at 1/1 with the clan boss to remove like the stun, for example. That could be nice. It means that he can be used in unkillables instead of him. Right, so on to the rares. There's a whole load of them. Another legendary up. Ash Wargar. Void attack Night Revenant. Fair enough. Great Hammer. One enemy resets Devastator if it kills. Attacks one enemy. Has a percentage chance. 90% chance? Why would you do that? Of placing a stun, decreases the turn meter of all enemies if this attack is critical. Quite nice. Attacks all enemies, has a 100% chance of placing the baby weaken, and increases all speed. Not bad. Early game. Candle Guard, magic dwarves. All dwarves are magic. At least in this world. Light of Scrutiny, attacks one enemy, has a 60% chance of removing one random buff, 70% chance of stealing one random buff instead if they have 3 or more. Attacks all enemies, 75% chance of placing weaken, not bad. Places 25% increased attack and 15% crit on this rate for all enemies on this champion for 3 turns, then attacks all enemies. She's interesting. No, they're rares, so good early game in Faction Wars, but that's probably about it. Elder Freak, Demon Spawn Spirit. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each has a 20% chance of placing. 40% chance, Holy Bookness. Chance of placing decreased defense for 2 turns. That's alright. 40% chance. It's like a 78% chance of placing the big decreased defense in Demon Spawn at rare. Good for Faction Wars, definitely. Attacks one enemy has a 50%, 75% chance of stealing buffs. Tasty. Swaps the HP with an enemy, then grants an extra turn. Nice. Can that work on bosses? That doesn't say that can't. Guys, that. So for you, those who are watching, if this works on bosses, because it doesn't say it doesn't, I can nick the clan boss's health and kill it. How do? Yeah, that's gonna have a line that says something on there, but this is potentially broken. Swaps it with an enemy. You could do like, I'll give the spider boss 60k HP. That can't be right, can it? Increases allies with speed by 10%. We're liking it. Again, potentially broken. Lumberer. Oh, he needs a hug. Ogre Tribe's attack and force. Gigantic Pulverizers. Attacks one enemy has a 50% chance of placing small decrease attack and a 40% chance of increasing duration of decreased defense by 1 turn. Okay. Increasing duration by 1 turn. That's an interesting one. Has a 50% chance, 75% chance of placing decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown. Why couldn't this book to 100? He'd have been amazing in Clan Boss if this book to 100. Well, he'd have been amazing for a rare in Clan Boss. Places increased crit damage on this champion for 2 turns and attacks all enemies. He's good early game in Clan Boss. Got a wolf, Void Wolf, and Skinwalkers. Sense. Why don't got a legendary at the bottom of this? Weird. Add him on. Attacks one enemy. Has a 50% chance of placing decreased defense for 2 turns. Has a 100% chance of placing decrease for turn if the 2 turns if the target is under HP burn. Attacks all enemies. Has a 75% chance of placing HP burn 3 turns. That's 100% when booked. Has a 100% chance of placing stun on targets with 50% turn meter or more. Has a 100% chance of placing a decreased speed debuff on for 3 turns on targets with less than 50% turn meter. Holy amazingness. I think you may have just found like this champion is God. That's an amazing skill. It's always got HP burn on. They're either going to be stunned or decreased speed. They've got the HP burn on. He's going to put decreased defense on them. Attacks one enemy, has a damage increases by 40% for each active HP burn debuff in the battle. Okay, so on everyone. Up to 400%. Also has a 100% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%. And decreases by an additional 15% for each HP burn debuff in the battle. Ooh, wow. Wow. Firefox. Whenever an ally receives a freeze debuff with a 50%, has a 50% chance of placing it by a HP burn in 2 turns instead. Okay, this debuff can be blocked or removed. Whenever an enemy or ally is under HP burn, he's immune to everything. Well, we know who the best champion in this patch is. It's this wolf. So the epics that I would go for this fusion, if they're part of them, I notice that there's 5 of them, oddly, which seems weird. Normally there's only 4. But hey. So this guy I like. He has some uses. He's probably like Baby Tormund. Definitely worth getting if you're going to go down that route. I can see she have some uses, like in Faction Wars, or if you want to do 100% sleep build or Arena, where you cycle through them and you use this as a hard CC, because then they get fear. And she has some interesting mechanics if this works the way I think it does. So she has potential. This guy is, yeah, he's okay. He's good if you want to ignore the defense and block damage, just like Baby Mountain King. So if you like Mountain King, go for him. Toll for the Vault Guardian. That's all I need to say on that topic. And this guy looks like, if you don't have Doom Priest, or you want like a Baby Doom Priest Poisoner replacement for although she doesn't remove the stun, and she's only good in non-Spirit Affinity Clan Boss, but he looks really strong. But yeah, that's everything. Bit of a long one, but I thank you for sitting here and watching it with me. That's the patch notes. Ask, as always, that you like and subscribe. And until next time, have a good day.